Instead of doing the beginning of year predictions for 2026, we wanted to give you resolutions that business should make when implementing AI, but probably won't. And by doing these, you'll definitely accelerate your business and have a competitive advantage in 2026. Welcome to the AI Accelerator for Business show, brought to you by 0to60.ai, where you get the latest strategies, information, and tactics about the business benefits of artificial intelligence. My name is Carl Ye. I'm joined by my co-host, Jeff Bradshaw. And first of all, Happy New Year to all our listeners, all the people who are watching. And for, going forward for 2026, we were thinking, should we do a business prediction show? But I think it's probably better for us about whenever there's a new year, there's resolutions. So I thought it would be an interesting thing today where we have AI resolutions that businesses should make, but probably won't.
You know what, Carlin? I mean, I think it was a great point because we had talked predictions, and there's all kinds of predictions out there, but the resolutions are almost more important from a business standpoint, because I think what we've seen over the past couple of years is, companies scrambling, companies wasting money on certain, AI projects. And I think some real well-defined resolutions is a great starting point for 2026.
Yeah, so I want to start it off with thinking systems rather than tools. Because a lot of businesses, the first thing they usually say is, what tool should we use? What's the best tool? What tool? And our response now is, it depends on what you're using it for. The models, the tools are so good, but they're also specialized or getting specialized in different things. So that was one of the resolutions. We stop thinking about it as AI tools, start thinking of them as systems. What can you do to support the features and capabilities of said system or these tools that you're planning to implement in your business?
Well, and I think it's important to understand the tools, but you're right. I mean, system-wise is such a better approach, because I think too many people get caught up in the features and everything else, and it kind of gets away from where AI is real powerful. The benefits of AI are in system thinking.
And we also start seeing that there isn't one tool to rule them all. There isn't one tool for a business just to use. Each department, each team, each person could benefit from one tool or another. Big example would be in finance today. I would say if your finance team works exclusively in Excel, then the Claude Excel plugin would be an amazing tool for you. But if your company uses Google Sheets, then maybe Gemini would be a better fit, because, you have to export, import, and all that stuff, right? So there's a lot of integrations have to play with it, data privacy, the training that you'll be involved. And I think that's the one thing people forget is, like, you can't just implement these tools, right? It's like the old, we're just going to have Copilot for everybody. It's like, fine, but what about the training? What about the updates? What about constant training? Like, not just one-time training. You have to train them every couple of months because there's new features and capabilities. And what one tool is good at, well, another department's like, well, that doesn't fit our needs. We do this. So it's going something completely different.
Another one that we talk about, Carl, is the doing the discovery with frontline employees and teams. And I think that's a big one. I mean, we do that with clients all of the time, because, if you can sit down with your teams and don't just keep it to your senior managers, get your frontline employees. And if you were actually to sit down, do a discovery, and again, we do this with clients all the time, is find out the tasks, the mundane tasks, as you always call it, the eye roll tasks, the repetitive tasks that your employees deal with. And if you can identify those throughout your organization, and we always say when we do our discoveries with clients is don't come at it from an angle of, well, can AI solve this problem or not? Just put out those boring, mundane, repetitive, data-driven, predictive tasks on the table, because a lot of the times you'd be surprised where AI can actually step in and create efficiencies.
I would like to add, when we talk about those mundane eye roll tasks, we're talking about workflows and processes that, you have to do on a regular basis. But what's important here is the frontline team, because many times whenever we ask about discovery, they may have done it, but just with the manager or just with the executive sponsor, whoever. They didn't actually ask the person doing the work. So they're making a lot of assumptions, and those assumptions lead to buying the tools, which then the frontline team's like, wait a minute, Why'd you buy this? I don't, this is not the big problem. The big problem or issue that I'm doing is this. So the tool that you bought is relatively useless for my use case.
Well, and let's face it, a lot of managers, as much as they think they know the process and they're connected with their employees, a lot of the things that they don't think is boring, repetitive, and mundane is because they don't do those jobs. Your
Yes.
frontline teams do those
Yes.
jobs. And we see it all the time where the manager's like, oh no, that process works great. And you're getting the people going, no, it's repetitive, it's boring. I can't get to my actual work because I'm stuck doing this for 6 hours a week.
Yes. Yes. And like the further you're removed from frontline, as you get deeper into like higher into management, it's harder for you to keep your hands, in the dirt, as to say, and to actually understand it. So that's why you need to do that. Related to workflows and processes, I think one of the big things here is creating standard operating procedures, whether you already have them, update them, or actually creating them. And creating them as isn't actually hard. You can use things like a custom GPT, Claude projects, Gemini gems to help you create the SOP. And you're probably thinking now, oh, it's still going to take me forever. All these subject matter experts are going to have to fill out a interview form or meet with me. It's like, no, you can just interview them, take the transcript, and turn it into an SOP.
I think the biggest problem with a lot of SOPs is that, to me, a lot of companies create SOPs, they put them in a binder, they stick them on the shelf, and nobody ever refers back to them. And that's the thing about AI, is that you can use these AI tools to not only create the SOPs, you can use the AI tool to update it on a regular basis, and then you can use AI to make it accessible so that when somebody has a question about a standard operating procedure, they can ask the questions against those documentations and get the answer. So they really do become a part of your everyday workflow, so that you don't have people coming to managers or coworkers asking those same questions over and over because they haven't done a process for a couple of months. This way they can get immediate access to it any time of the day.
And if your business is serious about implementing AI, having those SOPs enables the AI to review them, see where the potential efficiency gains, productivity gains are, and then one step further, how can you rebuild this entire process using AI? And it's so much easier with a documented SOP or a transcript of an interview from a subject matter expert too.
Another one we have here is doing interviews with subject matter experts or those employees that are about to retire, to preserve that knowledge. And we've done this quite a bit with clients. You've got subject matter experts, and a lot of that information is stuck in their head. And so if that person goes on vacation, they quit, they, are too busy to answer a question, they become a sticking point for being able to get information. So what we'll do a lot of the times with some of these subject matter experts is sit down for 2 or 3 hours, record an interview, get all of that information, and then be able to take the transcripts from that and be able to repurpose it and make it available for other team members. Or if you've got somebody who's worked for you for 25, 30 years and they're about to retire, there's huge amounts of knowledge and experience and information in their heads. What a better way to actually acknowledge their commitment to the company and be able to take all that information, so when they go off and start spending their time in Florida for the winters, they know that 30 years of work hasn't gone to waste. There's a next generation of employees that are coming in to be able to access their experiences and not make some of the same mistakes twice.
Well, I know, like, using from my dad's perspective, he's been in financial planning for 30 plus years, right? And I know there are financial planners in companies like a Canada Life, a Manual Life, whatever, who have been there for just as long. And the amount of know how, and it's not about specific processes, it's all the nuances and all the workarounds and things that, you can't even cover in a standard operating procedure. All those tiny pieces, they, how can you extract that, or how can you get that and continue to benefit from that you can definitely not replace the person who's about to retire or move on, but you can get a lot, at least what, 60 to 80% of their knowledge. How useful is that to your company, right? It's like, hey, how did Trevor used to do this? I don't know. He left. But like, you could have interviewed and just quickly gone through the transcript and pull some of that information out.
Well, and I think sometimes, when people are retiring, it's a bit different. Some subject matter experts, some people try and keep that information because they feel that's the value that they hold and that's why they keep their jobs. But I don't know. In this day and age, to me, if you've got somebody who's reluctant to share that information, they're probably not best for that job because now they're a liability because they hold all this information that you don't have access to. If they're working for you, I would encourage people to do it. And I would say most times we find people are more than willing to share that knowledge.
For
Um, and now make it accessible. And again, from a liability, from a business owner standpoint, how often do you see it where somebody is holding that knowledge and level of expertise kind of over your head? And it's not great from a business, from a management standpoint. And even with that too, even senior level management, you've got executives that have a wealth of knowledge and experience in different areas. What a great way to start, even with your executive team, to start to share that information.
Yeah. The next one is really start where most people don't start here. But I think for any businesses, administrative heavy workflows. And the one that we keep seeing is invoice consolidation, payroll consolidation, onboarding, paperwork, compliance reporting, all the stuff that either, when a new employee comes in, there's all that paper and process work, or just work that your team does just to keep the business operating. And those are the best things. In terms of resolutions, pick one of those, right? Invoice reconciliation is one of the best ones. It's so easy. And when we talk about invoice reconciliation, what we mean is, you have a registry of all the invoices your company probably has spent on. And then you also have vendors who provide you those invoices, probably through a PDF. So all you're doing is, hey, are there discrepancies? Are you double paying or have you not paid in months? Right? So very simple. And this is something as dragging and dropping into your favorite large language model, or maybe a little bit more complicated, connecting your large language model to, let's say, a SharePoint or a Google Drive and have it do the exact same thing.
Another one we have, resolution. I missed this on the list here, Carl, is picking one or two workflows, um, and use AI to look at rebuilding it AI centric. We talk a lot of the times about a lot of systems are built by humans for humans. And if you stop and take a look at certain processes and workflows that you have in your organization, is there an opportunity to rethink it if it's AI centric? And if you rebuild the system completely from AI standpoint, and you've had a couple of examples of that with clients where, I mean, the efficiency, climbs dramatically when you can rebuild something AI centric.
Yeah, like the term we use is called, we don't want to be automating inefficiency, where yes, you could add AI to this process, but does it actually make sense to have this process in existence with all these AI tools, right? My favorite example of this is, I, I think any business has some sort of reporting. I don't know, quarterly, weekly, annually, you have to report on how the business is operating. And so most of the time, there's a master Excel spreadsheet. I don't think we've gone to any business that doesn't have a master Excel spreadsheet. No matter how complicated their tech stack is, how much they pay, there is still, you know what? I don't trust any of the systems that I'm paying for. So I'm using Excel to get information into Excel from all these systems. Doesn't make any sense. So that's all manual, right? There is somebody who has to put all that information to an Excel spreadsheet. What we say is like, yes, you could put AI into bits and pieces of this entire process, but what better way than maybe, the simple example would be putting a model context protocol into all of these, into your tech stack, and have it go into either a data lake or a spreadsheet on a recurring basis. So there is nobody who actually extracts that manually. And that would be the easiest way for any company to get their real-time data without waiting the week or 2 weeks for everyone to put that data in every quarter. And, a great example of that would be an executive. I think every company we've seen is, I want to report on this specific element of our business. Well, that person usually has to talk to a VP or a manager, and that manager has to tell their team to gather all that data and provide a report. Probably a week or two later, where I don't even remember asking for that that request, giving that request. But now, if automate your data retrieval, that same CEO could just go into their chat GPT, Claude, whatever, and be like, hey, how is this element of our business doing? I get the answer. It's more efficient for the entire business. So
Well, and you still want to test the system and make sure it's set up properly and make sure it's reporting the same data. But once you do that, you're right. Like, why are you taking a human's time to go and pull numbers and reconfigure it and make it look pretty to present to the CEO when AI can do all of that work
yes.
automatically?
And we've been into companies, I think an insurance one, where like the CEO just gives random, hey, I want to report on this. And it's driving their teams nuts because the amount of time it takes to get the report, look at the different spreadsheets or data sources, put it all together, and it takes away from the work that they're trying to do, right? So
Well, and I think the other thing too is, I mean, you've done some examples of swarm agents, and I think that's another process is where typically a human goes through things step by step, where AI can look at 100 elements simultaneously and do a report a lot quicker. So again, this isn't a real clear one, but it's something that we encourage businesses to take a look at from a resolution. Just take a look at your processes and go, really, give it that thought of, could it be AI centric, and explore those possibilities.
the next one we have is give every manager an AI assistant playbook for their role, right? And we're not talking complex assistant playbook. We're talking as simple as a custom GPT, a Claude Projects, or a Gemini Gems, or whatever Grok has too. It's really about like, hey, what are the playbooks that your department or your team has on a regular basis? Can you quote unquote train or use that, upload that information into a custom GPT and have it become your assistant, right? Have it become the team's assistant. It's a very simple, straightforward way for your team to benefit, right? It's like another employee. Some people have said they've created, the AI CEO of their company, just something that they can use for your team that ask questions against. It's straightforward, and then you can upload as many documents that either it can retrieve or use as reference to provide you an answer.
Well, you know what, Carl? Here's the one big one for me from a resolution standpoint is that all business executives need to commit and set aside some time to getting educated on AI. AI, whether you like it or not, it's not going away. It is going to impact your business in one way or another. It is not, there's nothing that's going to hurt you by looking into AI and understanding the capabilities of it. So I think that's the biggest resolution we've had in the past. A lot of executives who say, yeah, that's my IT team is taking care of it, or we're good because we're using Copilot. Or I don't think it really applies to our business, or we haven't seen our competitors using it. We're kind of an old school industry. And I think all that is garbage. I think that executives need to understand the basics of AI and start to take a look at the opportunities for integrating it into their businesses. And whether you do that on your own or whether you hire a group like us or however you do it, I think it's just one of those things that I think all business executives need to start to look into, big or small.
And it makes for a very convenient excuse. I'm too old to learn this new tech. But what you're also, as an example to your employees, is that, hey, we're saying it's important, but we're not using it, so it's not really that important, right? Like we're putting all that dollars, but because I'm not using it, why does an employee have to use it when they have 6 different deadlines and a whole bunch of stuff? Are we really transforming the business, or is just none of these, you know, do what I say but not what I do kind of things?
Well, and I'm a little bit older than you, Carl, but I mean, just imagine for anybody listening to this, imagine if your view on using computers in your business was, we don't need computers. We can do it with, you know, pencil and paper. And that's kind of what a lot of executives are saying when they're like, I'm too old to look into AI. It's literally saying that you don't need computers in your business. And take a look at, and the thing with AI is it's coming at you so much quicker that this is why we're encouraging people for 2026 to go look into the technology, educate yourself, become familiar with it, and it really can help improve your operating
Yeah.
efficiencies.
Yeah. And you say it all the time in terms of accounting, right? Like, would you actually still use pen and paper, like pencil and paper, pen and paper to do your accounting? back then than actually use a computer to do the accounting for you, right? Like, would you rather use Excel or would you rather like manually calculate all this out? It doesn't make any sense.
I go back a lot. I started working for CTV in 1990, and we still have to use to put in our orders with a big spreadsheet and a pencil, and you'd have to write it in. You'd be scribbling and everything.
Yeah.
So I am that old. I do remember those days. And trust me, when the computer came along, it was a game changer. And that's where we are right now with AI.
So what we want to know is, what are some AI business resolutions that you think should happen, but businesses probably won't do in 2026? Learn more about implementing AI for your business by watching these videos here. Enjoy today's episode. Want to learn how AI can take your business to the next level? Then please subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next episode.